G'day everyone, welcome to the 2022 National Storm Chasers Summit. My name is Daniel Shaw and I'm presenting the interesting and ever engaging subject of content protection. You know what, I've got something better. Have a look at this. I'm just going to leave you to look at this for the next half an hour to an hour. Just look at my wonderful image of Simla, Colorado. Really, content protection is boring. Let's face it, there's nothing to worry about. Let people steal your work. And content like this wonderful, beautiful image of my Simla tornado, of course, which I'm sure you've all seen. We're just going to stare at this for a while and just enjoy all things. No, let's not do that. Let's talk about how to protect that. For times where you get that rare moment, in this case, my tornado or similar, when you get content like this, you got to know how to protect it, how to share it, how to do it the right way so your work is not used, abused, stolen, repurposed, rebranded, monetized. When you capture those rare and amazing moments, we're going to take you through for the next half hour to an hour with a bit of Q&A hopefully, the most interesting and engaging subject of content protection, how to not get your work ripped off. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this ever boring subject of content protection. So what's our work really worth? Well, that's an interesting question. Could be nothing, could be a fortune. But the question is, how do you protect it? How do you license it? How do you share it to avoid your work being taken or used or monetized or profited from in some way which you haven't authorized or not aware of? I'm going to take you through some of the processes I use to protect my work and others' work. With Severe Weather Australia, with Global WeatherNet, the organisations I run are set up to support the Australian community and a global community. And Eric Fox, I want to thank him for bringing me on board to present to you how I do things and bring you into a bit of our world of how we protect your work when you strike it big. Now, it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. If you're at this conference right now and sitting down, watching all the seminars, watching all the speakers, the odds are you have a fascination for clouds. Possibly turning clouds that decide to descend to the ground and look rather photogenic. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when you're going to produce that incredible moment. And there's going to be a time, sooner than later, where you're going to get something which is going to be in high demand, not just locally, not statewide, not nationally, but globally. And that's going to happen multiple times. So the question is, how do you protect your work? When you capture that amazing moment, it's important to know how to share it, what platforms to use, how to leverage each platform the best way possible. Now, there's multiple ways of sharing content. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Vimeo, TikTok, and insert whatever things haven't been invented yet. When you get that moment, how do you present it? How do you film it? How do you capture it? How do you publish it? What do you write? Where do you write it? What do you release and when? And when you've just captured what you've been hoping to get for the last 10 years, it's sort of natural to be excited about what you've captured. Now, unfortunately, some places it could be a disaster zone. Some places, hopefully, will be a beautiful tornado or beautiful piece of content where it hasn't harmed a soul. But as we know, content is king. If you receive any inquiries from anyone to use, share, view your work, if someone's messaged you saying, hey, we'd love to share this with permission with you, it has a value. It's very simple. The easiest way to share your work is, well, hit the share button. So to share content the right way, you need to use something called a mouse, or your finger if you're using a mobile phone, but it's quite complex. If you use this device, this little mouse, it's actually quite a complex task, so I'm going to take you through that process. What you do is you hover, now listen very carefully because this is important. You move your mouse, you hover above the share button, you apply pressure with your left index finger, in this case my right index finger, but you get the idea, because the left is here, the right's here. You use your left index finger, you push on the mouse, you hit the share button, and you go, well actually that's it. Yeah, that seemed kind of complicated, didn't it? Yeah, that's what's required to share your content. What stops, say, some media organization that loves what you've captured, whether it's a pretty tornado or something which is major, to hit the retweet button or quote tweet or share from your page to a page with 1 million people or 500,000 people or 100,000 people? If these media organizations want to report the news Why can't they just hit quote tweet tornado confirmed in Simla, Colorado? How hard is it to take verified chases, whether you have a tick or not, and go quote tweet, this tornado was captured by storm chaser Daniel Shaw near Simla, Colorado 9 minutes ago? Have you not reported the news? Haven't you made people aware? Why does a media organization, or anyone else for that matter, have to do the complex task, in this case, the right mouse button, a little bit more complicated, right mouse button, save, copy, save to desktop, write new post, relay new information, publish. Isn't it just easier to hit share or tweet or quote tweet to get that information across? I think as a society, as a group of storm chasers, we tend to do that far more than anyone else. We support each other's work. But what's really important is having media, not just locally but globally, do the same thing. Why can't CNN, BBC, NBC, CBS go from your page and just hit share to page? How hard is it really to do that? Well, the fact is it comes down to branding. If you control that post, what they want to do, what they need to do is brand it with their own branding. So when you get a request saying, hey, you've captured something amazing, we want permission to share this with credit to you, I'm going to ask the question, how many times in all your life have you ever watched the TV or gone to pick up the newspaper and gone, photo Daniel Shaw in the top right hand corner, and gone, that's really interesting, I'm going to research and see who he is and follow his work? So I'm going to ask the question for everyone in the room, raise your hand if you've gone and looked at something on the TV set or on a newspaper. Raise your hand if you've gone and researched someone one time in your lifetime. Just raise your hand if you've actually gone and looked at that name in the top right hand corner of the screen going, that's interesting, I'm going to follow their work. Raise your hand one time in your life. Keep it up if it's been more than 5 times in your lifetime. How about 10? How about 20? How about 100? You'll find everyone put their hands down at probably no more than 5 in their lifetime. So having name credit, whilst your family, mum, dad are really proud of you, you got your name on the TV, how much did you get paid for that work? You've just spent how much on fuel, car, repairs, servicing, registration, storm chasing, 20 years of chasing, 5 years of chasing, dedication, camera sensor cleans, smashed iPhones, smashed Androids, all the equipment you've gone through just being destroyed to get that one shot, that once in a 10-year shot or once in a 1-year shot for some people. How much money have you spent in fuel, hotels, bad gas station food, good gas station food to get that one shot? And when you do, everyone wants a piece of you. You're thinking, I'm going to be famous, everyone's going to see my name. Honestly, every time I see someone's name on a TV set that hasn't been licensed, I just look at it and go, what a tragedy. Because if you wanted to, when you think about it, you're dealing with multi-million and billion-dollar organizations, and some small and local. Why can't they pay $50, $100, $200, $1,000 per network, then extrapolate that globally when you start dealing with, 4, 5, 6,000 media organizations globally? Say they all paid $20 each. You get your calculators out and do the mathematics on that. International media control, different kettle of fish, we'll get onto that later. But what happens if everyone started to pay for your work? Well, you'd get paid. You could either put it towards your car, towards your camera gear, or better still, if a community has been impacted, especially your home community, where you've cleared $3, $4, $5, $6, $7, $12, $15,000 in licensing. My record's $24,800, I think, for one piece of content. That's my record for one piece of weather content. Trust me, it adds up. Most times, 500, 1,000, depending on what it is. But you could then choose to do with that money, paid for by media organizations or any general licensing, and donate it to charity, to a cause you believe in, and have funds from maybe all over the world coming back to your local community. The question is, what is your weather content worth? Well, how about you decide that? Whether it's for yourself, your family, your education, or even your community. If the community has been impacted by weather, or you've just got an amazing shot, why can't you invest that back into your community, your restaurants, people you care about, your family, friends, or yourself to get more equipment, to build your portfolio, to build your work, and follow your passion. So, bit of a speech there, but why can't you protect your work? And why can't everyone else? And why should anyone else have free game at your work when you've captured that rare and amazing moment that might come round once every 10 years? The question is, how do you handle that? And what do you do when the onslaught of media comes through when you've really captured that rare moment? Another interesting subject. That's a complete total lie. There's nothing interesting about this at all. But you know what? It is. What, where, when. The details are important. If you're doing a tweet, Facebook post, whatever it is, tornado captured, I'm going to use a similar example here, tornado captured west of Simla at 6:21 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time. Licensing details available via Global WeatherNet. You get the idea. Get the idea? What, where, when. Don't just go, oh my God, wow, and put a random tornado from someone else's work. Is it your work? Is this happening last year? Is this happening now? What, where, when. What's happened? Where it's happened? When it's happened? And point of contact. How does an organization contact you when you've captured that content? Stop writing, oh my God, wow, I can't believe this. Whilst it's obviously people get excited when they get incredible weather content, put it in context. What have you captured? Where have you captured it? When have you captured it? How do they get in contact you if they don't want to retweet it and they want to actually license your work? Give them the opportunity. Them being anyone. Could be commercial licensing, could be an insurance company, could be investigations from National Weather Service, and it really helps out the National Weather Service. When we're chasing in America, tag the National Weather Service office. That really helps them. Again, what, where, when, and the county warning area. If you're obviously overseas, tag the National Weather Service or the Weather Service local to that area. Twitter's a very powerful tool and every storm chaser should be on it. But those key details, same with Facebook posts, having those key details is what's really critical to getting that right message out there, to know that what you've captured is current, knowing how to license it if you want that option, how to get in contact with you. When you think about it, it's really quite basic, but in a way, when the adrenaline's going, knowing what to cover, what to put online, how to publish your work is actually more of an art form, because you need to stay very calm, very focused about what you've just captured. And 10 years of work leading up to that event, it's not going to be a surprise. It shouldn't be a surprise. You should be expecting this. It just comes down to how prepared are you going to be when it happens to you. This is an interesting one. How to publish your work correctly. I say use a single point of source for content, but sometimes a multiple point of source. Okay, say we have an incredible tornado, hopefully something which is in the middle of nowhere. Again, we're in America, for an example. We've captured this incredible piece of content, say near Campo, Colorado, the one I missed back in, let's not talk about it. One day, there'll be another one. With Stop Laughing. We all know that was an incredible storm. I wasn't there because I decided to sleep in. I don't want to talk about it. You know what? I'm going away. Okay. We've captured a tornado in Colorado. Hopefully near Campo, where none of you are. I've got this exclusively. What I'd do, we've got, say, 15 minutes of incredible video. We're by ourselves. YouTube, I would recommend, is the preferred platform because it can be monetized long term. Facebook's also good for this if you're set up in such a way where you do have monetization, but it comes down to where you're best established. Facebook do give some great opportunities for fan funding, live storm chasing chats and stuff like that, but then again, so does YouTube. I use YouTube. I prefer YouTube as the platform, but really it's up to you. But pick a platform and stay with it and have a single point of contact. When I say that, publish to that one platform. So in this case, we're going to use YouTube as an example. You publish the video to that platform. You would do a tweet with one image. If you haven't quite edited the video yet, it's breaking news. Put in one image on Twitter, watermark it. And when I say watermark, we'll get into that later. Watermark it, publish it, say video soon to follow on my Facebook page. And you're probably thinking, hang on, Daniel, you just said YouTube channel. I did, but I'm getting there. You have a proper public Facebook page. You do one tweet with one photo, protected, saying updates to follow and video to follow on my Facebook page. You have a little macro, just post your link to your Facebook page, and then people will be drawn back to your Facebook page. They're going to like and follow your Facebook page, and guess what you're going to do later? You'll do your image set gallery, and you say video coming in an hour's time. Follow the page for updates. I've now shared your image gallery. You've done the tweet. They're back on your Facebook page, a public professional page. Then you are making your way to the hotel. You do your video edit. You put it on YouTube. Hopefully people subscribe to you, but then you put the YouTube link in as an edit to your photo gallery down the bottom, video now available, put it in the comments and do a new post saying video now online. Hopefully that will be a monetized platform, or will be soon. And you've brought everything together where that YouTube video is now on your channel. Your tweet brought people back to your Facebook page, and even your own personal post, your personal Facebook feed, you'd share the YouTube link and you'd share your professional link back to that single point of contact. Your professional Facebook page, your preferred platform, whether it's a Facebook video or YouTube video, and it all brings down to one source. Another platform to make use of is Instagram, but use one image to link back to, hey, follow my Facebook page for updates, which of course leads back to the YouTube video or your preferred platform. Vimeo, great as well. But YouTube, Facebook is what I prefer for the monetization. YouTube as the primary platform. So factoring all that, single point of contact. You want to break the news, Twitter, hands down. You don't need a hashtag. I suggest you do, but you don't need one. Similar, tornado, you're covered. You could have one follower and you'd reach the whole world. You could have 1 million followers. You'd still reach the same people. You might be rated a little bit higher in the scheme of things, but once people see that first content, if you get it onto Twitter quickly, what, where, when, you've then reached the market of where they go to, where they see more content, and where they can follow you directly. You hit that quickly and you protect that content quickly. That's what's going to matter when you've got content and content to protect. This is a really simple one, but often overlooked. Point of contact. Have a place in your social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, everything, for licensing contact. Your licensing agent, yourself, your email address, your website, phone number. Don't be afraid to put these contact details in there. Phone number for some people, not such a good idea, especially because you can get random people calling you. But have a point of contact, ways that media organizations or even commercial entities can get in touch with you. When time counts, having that point of contact can make the difference of your work being stolen or licensed, and having everything be shared from the right spot. Having your work supported is all about being contacted and having that connection with those licensing agents or media or corporate entities when time matters. If they don't have it, you miss out. So this is one we're going to touch on. In fact, I'm going to sport on my new trusty glasses and make myself look more intelligent than what I really am. Professional mode on. What is your work really worth? Yeah, I got glasses. So apparently I'm getting old. I probably can't tell from the grey hairs. It's a prop. Makes me look smarter though. What's your work really worth? Sometimes nothing, sometimes a fortune. Knowing what your work is worth, the simple test is, if someone contacts you and says, hey, we'd like to share this or use this in any way, shape or form, your work is worth something. What's it worth? Anyone knows, but if you've received contact from anyone, very simply put, it has a value. If media have contacted you saying, we'd love to share your content, whether it be a rainbow, a lightning bolt, or a tornado, if someone's taken the time to contact you, it's worth something. Are they going to pay for it? Not necessarily. They're going to put out their feelers to as many people as possible, hoping they hit hit, and eventually one or two might say, yeah, sure, I'd love to get name credit. Doesn't pay the bills. But imagine this. Say every single person on the planet said, no, you can license my work. The news wouldn't have a broadcast. Media as we know it would start to fail because, well, you are, after all, their personal camera crew. If the public realized that their work was worth something and every single one of them said no, the media would actually have to hire all their camera crews they've fired back, or actually pay a photographer $400, $500, $600 a day, or in this case in Australia up to $1,000. That's what the rates are for a broadcast camera crew. But is your work really worth that? Well, you know what? Sometimes it is. Stop thinking local, start thinking global. If you've captured that once in a lifetime moment that took you 10 years and no one else has got it, and everyone worked together to actually protect their work and not give it away, including public, and every media organization licensed it together, and you made it fairly affordable and accessible, and you had the right rights managers and licensing agents and everyone else working together, what would have been worth zero global just became worth $20,000 to $40,000 in licensing. If it's a major piece of content and the content's rare, and say 5 or 10 people got that piece of content and no one else gave their work away, we're talking in the hundreds of thousands of dollars in licensing for documentaries, YouTube, and think about all the places where it's going to end up on YouTube without your permission. You have to think for the long term. If everyone actually worked together to protect their work and didn't give away, two things are going to happen. The media are going to go, can't afford it, we're not going to run it. And you put it on your single point of contact, your own platforms, monetize on YouTube or Facebook, and the only place the world could see it was your profiles. We're not talking sort of 10 or 50,000 hits. We're talking in the millions or tens of millions. And when you are the single point of contact, when it's on your channels and you've protected your work, the only place where the world can watch your content is from you. It's accessible. It's accessible to anyone. The trick is to have it in the right place, protect the content, and if those who take it and re-upload it, go after them. After all, this is what we're all doing now anyway. Collaboration. Now, what do I mean by collaboration? Well, it's not about finding a chase partner and jumping in the same vehicle. It's about finding a place to come together. In this case, we have the content protection group, and working out what pages, YouTube accounts take our work in bulk, en masse, and use our work for no other reason but monetization. Now, they claim they, based on the messages we've seen from these people, they just want to inform the public. But when you deep down dive into their real reasons, when we've hit them with copyright complaints, the real reasons have come out. They're just trying to make a quick buck. Now, some of these have purported to make $10,000, $12,000, $15,000 from YouTube, and they've admitted to open theft. They just take what they like and whack it online, hoping they'd never get caught. And they've made a really good income using your work to do so. One channel, which we went after, with I think 32 simultaneous copyright complaints, boasted, based on their analytics, if you did the mathematics, a 24, 25-year-old, I estimate, we think is made, if their calculations are right, about $3.4 million in content using our work and others. And they've put in writing that they actually cropped out my watermark, and the editors, he just didn't know any better. But still claimed fair use, saying, take me to court. Well, guess what? That video's down along with everything else. That person's staying away from weather content, and I suggest they continue to do so, because we're not finished with him either. Now, that's one of many, many channels, but that's called collaboration. You think, how do you go after a YouTube conglomerate that runs multiple channels with, say, 7 million subscribers? And they really are protected to some degree by YouTube, because they really like to protect those bigger money-making channels. I tell you what, it's hard work, but it takes a coordinated effort to do so. What's important about collaboration is if you find a YouTube account or Facebook page, not with 1 or 2 videos, but one which has a track history of saying world's worst, world's best, world's worst, most disasters. You get the idea. Channels that are dedicating themselves to uploading content en masse about weather that's clearly not theirs, because you find your work in there with your watermarks cropped out, working together on collaboration to identify that channel. Don't just hit them right away. Work out who else has been affected. Are they using any of my colleagues, my competitors' work? And if they have, identify it, bring it into this group. We analyze it together, help each other, and you collaborate together to work out, okay, this YouTube channel has 26 videos using all our work. When you thought you were going to just do one claim for your own work, but you see it's widespread, bring it to the attention of all the other chasers, come together, work together, and go after that channel in one hit. They won't know what hit them. And this is what we do time and time after again. And I tell you what, it's not easy. It's hard work. But one by one, these channels are going down. These Facebook pages, Twitter account, Instagram accounts, they're taking your hard work, and a lot of them are doing it for profit. Well, the tides are turning. It's going to be one at a time. It's like a game of whack-a-mole. But if we work together as a team, even though we're all competitors, we can actually have the upper hand long term. Again, single point of contact, protected content, watermarking, licensing, sharing the right way, taking down the theft pages. I'm going to leave you with this idea till we cover the next subject. Imagine not one more piece of content is stolen globally, everyone shared from your true account. You're probably thinking in your head, geez, that's a lot of views. I can tell you now, the stats we've kind of done, we're losing some people about 85% of their work to theft globally, be it media, unauthorized use, unlicensed use, fair dealing, call it what you like. A lot of us are actually losing 85% of our revenue and views purely due to content theft. But you know what? That's changing because we're collaborating together, and the channels that used to do it don't stand a chance because they're gone. Work together and solve the issue. Protect your content to start with. Share it the right way. You can see what the mathematics do. It's kind of simple. Share the right way. Prevent theft. Work together. Collaboration. After all, content protection isn't just a watermark. It's teamwork. So I'm going to touch on the subject. We'd like to share this content with credit to you. Really? Tell you what, how about, I've got a better idea. How about I run Global WeatherNet, Severe Weather Australia, just send it to me. Just at the end of this conference, delete all your Twitter accounts, delete your Facebook, delete your YouTube accounts, just send everything to me. I'm pretty well connected. Just send me everything. I'll happily put your little name in the corner. I'm sure people will read it. And send it to me. I'll make sure you're looked after. I won't pay you anything for it. I'll keep the revenue for my... No, don't do that. Sharing with credit to you. We touched on that subject earlier, but you know what? What a load of rubbish. If you have a big Facebook page, if you're a member of the public and you don't have an outlet, absolutely, especially our weather pages. A lot of our weather pages, Australia and overseas, are working with us. What we're trying to do is protect their work, where we're sharing their work with credit to them, but we're running a big not-for-me-to-use piece of content through it, which means if someone, an organisation or insurance company or corporate entity wants to license that content, that page can then assist in the licensing of that content and actually return an income to that person. But what's important is sharing with credit to you. For those storm chasers who want to do it, to think they'll get a name for themselves, don't bother. If they really want to share your work, they can just hit the retweet button or they can hit the share button from your Facebook page. Get well set up, and when they contact you, say, this content is available for licensing, either from yourself or from a licensing agent, or just say, you're welcome to retweet or share via the native Facebook functions available to you. Otherwise, licensing is available for commercial use. Give that as a professional response. Not only will they see it, the rest of the public will see it and they'll respect your work for doing so. I'll respect your work for doing so, even though I know you're one of the best content producers on the planet. My advice to you is stop giving your work away, because I tell you what, if you do and everyone else does, you're all going to be better for it. Protecting your work and standing up for your rights is your right. After all, it's taken you how much money and how much time to produce the content? For some of you, a very, very long time. Fair use and fair dealing. These are two avenues in the copyright law that, well, are grey, to say the least. Fair use, fair dealing is the same thing in different countries, a UK, Australian law as opposed to international US law. If a news organisation wants to use your content under fair use, they have to argue, is the use really fair? Well, the answer for most media organisations are, we just want to report the news. Well, newsflash, a tornado just happened in Colorado. It happened in Campo at 6:49 p.m. Have I not just reported the news? Oh, wait. Here's said incredible image of, okay, we're going to pretend my Bennington tornado is Bennington, was the tornado in question. Newsflash, Colorado tornado, Bennington, happened at 6:41 p.m. They've just used your work and haven't asked for it. Is that fair? They haven't asked for permission. They've just taken your work and gone, you know what, we'll get away with it. They won't come after us. Well, guess what? Go after them. They expect you to give up. Fair use and fair dealing is a grey area. It's what they can get away with. Now, I do respect some media organisations actually now ask, because they've been caught out enough times where they're starting to get the gist that we're fighting back. But the whole idea is, don't stop fighting. If you really uphold your rights as a creator and keep going after them, whether it be legally or just being persistent, believe me, they will pay up. We have got payments for theft of content from recently Iraq, of all places. I can't believe that happened. Pakistan. I've had copyright issues come out of Brazil from Australia. And all over the world. And it all comes down to how persistent are you going to be in fighting for your rights? And guess what? It's going to be a lot of work. But they bank on the fact, if they've done the wrong thing, they'll give you often a reason of nothing, ignore you, or they might come back, oh, it's fair use, we're reporting the news. So if a media organisation has used your work without authorisation, well, go after them. But this is where it starts to get a little bit more interesting. They are protected to some degree under fair use and fair dealing. So say you did a tweet or a Facebook post, let's say on your personal Facebook feed, which was public to the world, captured this similar tornado in Colorado. Well, how do they contact you? Is it going to be a messenger request? There's no licensing details. There's no watermarks of any kind. So if you've posted something unprotected with really no details on how to contact you, and they've maybe made the effort to do so, and they want to show that on the news, and they've actually made an effort, they could indeed have an argument under fair use saying, look, we tried to get in contact with you, you couldn't contact us. It's still, I believe, wrong, but you'd have less of an argument to fight back. Again, make it simple for a media organisation, for anyone else to license the work. But if you go and be a little bit smarter, you start to protect this work. And this is what I want to touch on now, how to protect your work. Everything you do, in my opinion, for breaking news events, depending if you have a licensing agent, again, this is my suggestion, this is how I do things. We add, and what I recommend is you add media licensing available, or not for media use licensing available, via Severe Weather Australia, via your email address, via contact me for my phone number. For media licensing, contact me here. Put that into the post. If they say, oh, we didn't know how to get in contact with you, just say, well, my details are right there. You couldn't make the effort to pick up the phone? Oh, it was complicated, we were busy. My email address was in the watermark, which you cropped out, which said media licensing available, and in your broadcast, you've cropped it out or blurred out the text. Are you telling me you did? This has happened, believe me, with a broadcaster in, I won't say which country. They said, oh, the font size was small. I said, can you do me a favor, bring up it full screen, look at the image. Well, how are you meant to expect us to read that? I said, can you read it clearly now? Yeah, when I go full screen. I said, hang on. So you're telling me you've taken this person's content, run it without asking any permission of any kind, and you said to me your editors, your chief of staff and news director couldn't read, and you're a news organisation. Well, we were busy. God. They paid the bill. Intent was a big thing. Having your content watermarked with not for media use licensing available is a big way forward to saying, I'm sorry, you can't read, you don't know how to make a phone call, and you don't know how to email, and you're a media organisation, and it was too hard. Their arguments soon quickly disappear when they want to use it. So fair use and fair dealing have their place, and there's a lot more topics on that I'll cover probably for another time, because it does get complicated. But it's not this blanket excuse to say, I like what you shot, I'm just going to go take it because it's fair. I call bullcrap. Is that fair? So, how are you prepared when you capture something truly viral? What do you do when something becomes viral? How do you handle that? Well, if you're in this room at this conference, or you're watching this after the fact, if you're a content producer covering severe weather, the odds are in your favor, this is going to happen more than once in your lifetime. For some people, dozens of times. And I can tell you now, it is a terrifying experience. And hopefully you have a licensing agent that is well rested, because it can be a 3-day marathon. When you've captured a global event that everyone wants a piece of, you better have your workflow down right. Delivery, content distribution, watermarking, licensing agent. Knowing how to be prepared for that moment is key to your success in not only protecting your work now, but in the future. Because if you get it wrong, I can tell you now, there's going to be a lot of people making a lot of money from your work. And by the time you've worked out what's happened, you've lost about 85% or more of your income. Getting it right, protecting your content the right way, having the right channels set up, everything in place is critical to your success and the success of others. Because if one person in the field is not protected, their content will be the number one piece of content that will go global, and everyone misses out. Again, content protection is not just your responsibility. In my view, it's everyone's, especially there as a professional. And if you're a content producer or a storm chaser, even though you think it might be just a hobby, if you're producing content and publishing it, you are, in fact, a publisher, and you are, in fact, a professional. So the copyright takedown process, the DMCA, as we call it, the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, I hope to God this is going to get reformed soon. It is being looked at. There are so many holes in it, so many flaws, which unfortunately people take advantage of. But again, collaboration is the key. With copyright takedowns, the trick is document evidence. Work out what's been taken. Has it been licensed correctly? You want to do it the right way. Cross your T's, dot your I's. If it comes back as a counterclaim, which sometimes does happen, make sure that's documented by you in evidence. So screenshot what you're dealing with. If it's a YouTube account, document the YouTube account. Screenshot how much content's been used. If it's a big channel that uploads a lot of content, download a copy of their upload. Screenshot that. What's really important is working with content protection. When you're doing that takedown process, take a screenshot, have something in evidence to say, hey, this is what you wrote. Because if they come back saying, oh, but we credited you, and you've got a screenshot saying they don't, at that point you can then prove fraud. If they've made a fraudulent claim, you can go back to Facebook and YouTube saying they've made a false representation. Here's the evidence. Now you're probably thinking, that doesn't come under the DMCA. Well, it doesn't. But if someone's made a false representation, and they've been fraudulent in their behavior and fraudulent in their declaration, you've got proof of that. We've taken down YouTube channels who have counterclaimed against us that should have gone to court, and all we did was a long email that took us maybe 2, 3, 4 hours to write, and a channel with 100,000 subscribers have been wiped out because we've proved intent of fraud because of their statements. When people are taking, or organizations, or small organizations, being these YouTube channels or Facebook pages, are using our work for monetization with intent of theft, intent of profit. If everyone works together to collaborate to work out what is the scope of this channel, how much of it is a threat to your work and others' work, you can work together to take them down and document it together. It's a lot of work, but one by one we're doing it. We're taking them down. We're not always going to be successful, but I can tell you now, the channels, the really big channels that have had a good go at our work, have fought back saying, see me in court. Once they get their counterclaim saying, and this is what's interesting, they claim fair use, that we have the right to use it, they get their counterclaim in, they have their 10 days of grace period before we have to spend $30,000 on legals. And in theory, they've made a claim to YouTube or Facebook or somewhere else saying, we have rights to run this, we're going to run this, this is our right. They get their counterclaim reversed, the content goes back online, it's deleted. The evidence is destroyed. Why would someone file a counterclaim, claim fair use or fair dealing, saying we have the right to run this, and then delete the works and delete all evidence that it even happened in the first place? Proactively delete other weather content on their channel. We've caught them out many, many times, and unfortunately YouTube really don't seem to care. And we've done that as proof to say, hey, we've seen this channel, they've made a false declaration, they've claimed and confirmed they've cropped out watermarks and they just take what they like. They've put this in writing. I've put this to YouTube on a big channel, a very big channel. We've filed simultaneous copyright complaints, enough to terminate the channel many times over. They did nothing. Unfortunately, it seems they want to protect their investment, but again, the DMCA is a bit on the grey side, and soon, let's hope, it's going to get updated. But the trick is, document the use. Work together, file the claims, and one by one, the victors are going to be you. So when is it okay to give away your work? You're probably thinking, hang on, you've just talked about protecting your work. Why would you give it away? I've given my work away. If a TV network comes to you saying, hey, look, Daniel, we'd love to do a special about your storm chasing and work with you about what you do and how you work in the field. I've done that. I've done that for a big broadcaster here in Australia. It was a 7-minute segment online, TV, all covered, really well produced. But it came under a license agreement. I gave away, I think, about $340,000 worth of content for free, but with special terms. It was watermarked Daniel Shaw in the top corner. Not that anyone cares about that. But here's the thing. What I did is I said this content can only be used once for this specific broadcast, and if this content is ever used again in any way, shape, or form in any other material, there'll be a fee of $2,000 per claim on every occasion it's used, and all content has to be deleted from your storage. Initially, they agreed to those terms. The content was given away for free. It was a great segment, a really, really well produced, great team, great panel of people, great promotion for me, great content for them, but my content wasn't used for someone else or wasn't used for general use for anyone else. It was specific for that broadcast. Now, another example, we had another creator here in Australia, used to give a lot of work away to the local media, not knowing it was connected nationally, just a local paper, but that paper was owned by a much bigger organization. What happened? This person stopped giving their work away. Their reach went up through the roof on their Facebook page. So guess what happened? The news organization started using this person's work as archive content to compete with this creator when there's a weather story in the local area. And he was like, what the hell? I gave it to them like 4 or 5 years ago. I said, but what rights? You gave the content away for free. You got your little name credit. Did you say it was a one-off use? Well, no, it's just to help them with their article. He goes, well, guess what? They're now using your work against you to compete for views because you didn't stipulate it's a one-off article for that one situation. So He's thinking, oh my God, how do I fix it? I said, you can't. They have rights forever. You never stipulated the terms for free supply. So free content supply is okay if it promotes you as a chaser, as a profile. It's great to build your profile. Working with media are great storytellers. Now, a lot of our chasers, a lot of our members know how to build a story, and many just know how to produce a great little piece of video, but it's one piece of video, not a whole story, because it's a lot of work. Media are very skilled, and this is their skill set, is to amalgamate this content with international content, with political reviews, emergency management, everything else that goes into building the story, and builds your story with that as a package. That's the job of media, but your value of the content is the primary part of what builds their story. As I say, make the content affordable and accessible to build those stories. But when there's a free content supply and it's to support you as a creator, that's okay, but just know and make sure there's provisions in place. It's just for that one article or just for that one television segment as a one-off, and the content's not to be used again. And if it is, this fee will apply. So if an editor down the track screws up and goes, we need some archive vision of a tornado, they go, let's pull that from stock. You go, what happened? Sorry, we didn't. Well, there's your bill. And believe me, they will pay the bill, and they will make sure that content's never used again. That's how you protect your content, and that's how you do free content if they want to do a profile on you. So when do you watermark, and how much of a watermark do you use? Well, I'm sure you've seen demo video, not for broadcast, not for media use, licensing available. All these things that go into watermarking is great initially. But when something's licensed to media, tell you now, it's going to go up pretty clean. It might just have a logo in the bottom right-hand corner, which will be just the broadcaster, or your name just in the corner. And it's going to get stolen globally. That's going to happen. Expect it, but understand the balance between protecting of your content and watermarking is a sliding scale. My advice is who you're trying to protect it from. Other YouTube channels, media. The second it gets out there and licensed, it's going to go up pretty clean regardless. My advice is put your name, in this case, Daniel Shaw, Severe Storms, in the bottom corner. Not for media use, licensing available in the top right-hand corner. It doesn't have to be that big. Just big enough where if someone was to steal it or use it without my permission, if they run it clean, well, not a good look. They can't say, oh, we didn't see that. If they crop it out, it shows intent of circumvention and theft. Not like, oh, we didn't see it. So I'm sorry, how did you not see that? You cropped it out of the watermark. And believe me, I've had a number of organizations pay up very quickly when I've said these facts in a one-line statement. They've gone, you're right, how do we settle this? But be fair. Fair is a very, very simple and a very powerful word. Being fair, don't go, you stole my work, you're paying $100,000. Well, in some cases, if your works are registered and it's a really big organization and there was intent, you know what? Sometimes, a number of creators, a number of chasers have actually done that, and they've had very big settlements, a lot more than $1,000 and a lot more than $10,000. It starts to really add up for big content theft, or unlicensed use. But being fair and having content accessible is the key for everyone to be really successful. Being fair and accessible is the best way long-term for all of you to be great creators and well supported in the years ahead. So how do we as a community move forward to protect our work? Well, it's kind of simple, really. We're going to keep chasing, these. You are all content producers, whether you do it as a hobby or a full-time professional or even part-time. Know that if you don't protect your work, someone, somewhere, is going to make use of your content and your vulnerabilities and your lack of protection or rights management to make money from your work. Whether you use a rights manager, licensing agent, or have details yourself, be prepared for those moments when what you've captured is valuable. The fact is, if you have content, it has a value. The question is it going to be a value to you or to someone else. Collaboration here is the key when we recognize wholesale theft or bad faith, bad fair dealing from organizations that go, we're just going to do what we like. Well, let's put a stop to that. Working together, even though we're all competitors, really is the key. Collaboration is the key. Registration of copyright. Now, as an Australian citizen, I shouldn't have to do this, but the fact is the DMCA was written under US law. If or when you've captured something truly historic, something major in nature, register your works, pay the fee. It's about $60 to $100 per event or per conglomeration of work if you're doing like an edit, like say a time-lapse or end of series special. If you've captured something really amazing and unique and what I'd class as valuable, register, spend the money, register the works, because what could have been damaged of say a few $100s could end up being $150,000 and you don't need to prove damages. Registration of works is a very, very powerful tool, and some attorneys will actually take on a copyright case pro bono just to take a 50-50 split of works. Now, this is not against persons or little baby YouTube channels, this is against organizations. But if you think you've captured something really historic and major and your content's been misused, having a registration of copyright done properly, it's worth the payment long term to protect those works the right way. That can make the difference of a settlement very quickly or a drawn out battle for a few $100s. Your call. For what it costs and how long it takes, it's worth the effort, it's worth your cost, and it's worth your time. And finally, the jelly bean test. Now, you're probably thinking, what the hell are you talking about? Well, the jelly bean test is something I've come up with. If you take a jelly bean away from a 5-year-old and go, it was fair, the 5-year-old is going to pick up the nearest object and smack you in the head. He'll be judge, jury, and executioner. If your work is taken, stolen, used without your permission, someone goes, it was fair, and it's a news director or a chief of staff or an editor or a journalist going, it was fair, a 5-year-old knows right from wrong. What the hell gives these organizations, people, mass theft channels the right to go, it was fair, when a 5-year-old knows from right from wrong? If you steal a jelly bean from a 5-year-old, you're going to get smacked in the head. But if anyone else does it, it's fair. I think we need to use the jelly bean test more often. If a 5-year-old thinks it's not fair, why can't the rest of the world think it's not fair? Let's start thinking about jelly beans. That sounds good. On that thought, hope to see you all in America, wherever you are in the world, wherever you're watching this. Have a great conference. I want to say a big thank you to Eric Fox for taking on what was a mammoth task and for supporting him for our late and dear friend, Tim, who was instrumental in running this conference, everyone who's handed the baton down through the years. It's been an honor and a pleasure. Hopefully you found the most boring subject of all, content protection, funny to some extent in my take on things. Again, the decision is with you, what you do with your work. But just know this, as a professional content producer, what you do with your work and how you protect it has a ramification globally and with your competitors, your colleagues, and your friends. Protecting your work and having ways to share it the right way. It shouldn't be a surprise. Know that your work has a value. Protect your work. And if you could all do me one big favor, and this is really important, next time there's a 2% tornado risk in Campo, head to Kansas. I'll be fine. I'll be perfectly fine. I'll camp out. I'll keep the place safe and nice and tidy. Just go the other. Just leave it for me. I need this for me. I'm kidding. I'll see you out hopefully in the field. I hope I don't miss another campo again in my lifetime. But you know what? Wish you all well. Have a great conference. Thanks for joining us, and I look forward to seeing you and your content. If you're a global storm chaser, join the Global Storm Chasers group. If you're an Australian storm chaser, join the Australian Storm Chasers group. Know that your work has a value and treat it with the respect it deserves to be protected. And after all, it should be your decision what you do with your work. Have a great conference. Thanks for joining us, and I look forward to seeing you in the field.